In this tutorial, we're going to continue working with forms, and we're going to see what else we can do with user input. I'm going to delete the data that we just worked with. I'm going to leave the form here, and I'm also going to leave the input submit. So it should look like this. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is create a group of checkboxes. Checkboxes can be used to select multiple choices inside of our form. So to do this, we are going to click checkbox group in the input tab, and we're going to give it a name. And what this does is it gives each checkbox a name. So for this example, let's do language, and we're going to create some checkboxes that allows a user to click and say which languages they speak. So underneath name, we have checkboxes, and inside the checkboxes we have label and value. And the label is what is going to show up beside the checkbox. So in the first one, let's say English. And the value is the actual checked value that's going to be passed to the action, or to the server, once we submit it. And what that means is, if something is checked, if something has a checkbox inside of it, then it is going to say, whenever it's received by the handler file, it's going to say English, if English is checked. And let's give this one a label of Spanish. And so if this one is checked, it's going to say Spanish. And I would think that there are some people that can speak more than just English and Spanish. So let's click this plus right here and add another language in. Let's say German. Alright, and I'm going to add in one more. Let's call that one French. Alright, now we have created 4 checkboxes: English, Spanish, German, and French. And we can use these arrows right here to click on one of our labels or one of our values. You can click either one, and you can press up and down to move it in order of the way you want it to display once you say OK. And right here it says layout using line breaks or a table. And basically it'll either put break tags in between your checkboxes, or it'll create a table for you that will create individual rows for each checkbox and label. So for this one, we're just going to use the default, which is line breaks. We're going to say OK. So let's inspect this a little bit and see what we just generated. Here we see that it has wrapped all of our checkboxes in a paragraph tag, and right here is our first input. You see it's of type checkbox, and it has the name language, which each one have, and it also has the value Spanish, which is what would be submitted if that checkbox is checked, and it also has an ID. And in the last tutorial we did the labels a little bit differently, and there are 2 methods that you can use to create a label, and this is the second method. What you do is you create your label, or you create your input first, whichever one you want to create. I'm going to show you how to do it by creating the label first. You create a label and you call it Spanish, and then inside of that label you put your input, just like that. Alright, so now that we have all of our checkboxes in place, I'm going to save this and I'm going to run it in Firefox. So now you can see we can check each one of these. We can uncheck, and that is how you create a checkbox inside Dreamweaver. These are very useful when people are selecting multiple different things. It makes it a lot easier. Instead of typing it in, you can just check it yes or no, and then they can submit it to our sample handler. And that's how you create checkboxes inside of Dreamweaver. In the next tutorial, I'll be going over radio buttons and radio groups and the differences that are in between checkboxes and radio button and groups. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.